In today's episode of PeliCast, we will be talking to two students of first and second year. They will tell us how to tackle the first year.
All right, so today I have two students of second faculty of medicine. I have Petra from the second year and Hyunbin from the first year. Thank you for coming. I think it's really great that we have students that are quite close to the first year, and you are in the first year, talking about how it is in being in the first year. Could you just shortly tell me about yourself, where you come from and why did you choose to come to Prague?
My name is Hyunbin, and I'm from South Korea. And I chose to come to this university because I can get the license in Korea as well if I graduate here.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So my name is Petra. I'm 20 years old. I'm in the second year of the English parallel, also at second faculty. And I chose Prague because I'm from Slovakia, so it's still close to home, but it's a beautiful, huge city. So,
all right. Could you tell us just shortly what subjects are included in the first year? Since my first year is 6 years ago, so it's changed a lot. Maybe Petra can tell us something in the beginning and then we can move on.
Yeah, so we separate the subjects based on importance, and the most important one is called AHE, so anatomy, histology, and embryology. They are taught separately but together as one exam. They are the most important, and they are 2 semestral courses, so from October all the way to June, usually.
And then you have exams, you said, during the year, and then it finishes with
one final exam. So you do have small credit tests approximately every 1 to 2 weeks, and then you have to pass all of them to get the credits, which will qualify you to get to the final.
Okay. And so this is the main big course, and obviously that's going to probably use all of your time, but then we have some smaller subjects.
Yeah,
could you tell us something about that?
In first semester we have cell and also first aid and biophysics. Okay. And in the second semester, cell becomes biology 1, and it will continue in the second year. And throughout the whole year, also we have bioethics.
Okay. So there's a lot of courses in the first year. Which of these subjects did you consider the hardest?
Of course, AHE.
Definitely. I mean, you're still not finished, right?
Yes.
Do you still have your final exam?
Yeah, I'm.
Okay, but all the other small exams are done?
Yeah, they're done by yesterday. So.
Wow! Congratulations!
I got credit. Thank you. Great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Same opinion, Petra, with the...
Yeah, AHE was obviously the most time-consuming, but personally I found it the most fun as well because it's the basics of medicine. So if you do want to be a doctor, that is kind of your introduction into the medical world. For me personally, biophysics was the worst because I'm not a physics person. So it really depends on what kind of studying you like and what you're used to.
Would you consider that the regular exams, do they feel too much? Is it do you feel like it's too overwhelming that you have so often testing of your knowledge?
I think it is because basically we have tests for almost every week for AHE and other subjects too. So it was first time very demanding.
It takes a while to get used to it, but personally, having now almost finished second year, is you don't have that in second year. So you will get maybe 1 test every month, and it's less motivation to keep studying continuously. So actually I preferred it that way, that every week you did have something to study because it's like a landmark and it tells you whether you're actually doing it right or not.
Do you think that it has changed from the first year to the second year, drastically, how you prepare for the exams? Do you think you're more relaxed? Do you think that there has been a learning curve? I hope so. Yeah? Okay.
Definitely. Most of the stress. Having, I think AHE is your first real oral exam, which is a huge thing because it's just one-on-one with you and your professor, and it's just your knowledge that carries you through. And once you get through the first one, it's really easier to deal with that pressure. At least for me, it was that you get used to it, sort of. Obviously, it's always going to be hard, but...
Yeah. Would you say that also from the beginning, like does the faculty somehow maybe help you with the smaller exams if you have some struggles in the beginning? Do you feel like you get some support, like you can go see the exams, or something that you can get like a one-on-one with the professor, you can talk about the exams? Do you feel like you get the support?
Yeah, I can get it if any time I want.
Okay.
If I email them properly, then they let us come and see the paper and do the consultation.
That's
also in ahead too.
Okay, that's good. That's great. What did you have some specific like tools to tackle this many subjects? Did you have some kind of like something that you felt like was easing your studying? Too hard question.
Well, I just try to start earlier than I think of, so that I can earn a quite amount of time, so that I can deal with the many stops there. That's just my basic rule that I did for the AHE.
So you were regularly
regularly and started earlier, so that you can repeat many times, so that it sticks to you, rather than you really like memorize or cram. If you just get used to it by seeing earlier and seeing repeatedly many times. That's what I basically did.
I feel like that's the goal. That's the way it should be. So that's very exemplary. I myself, I try to do that, but I am a chronic procrastinator, so it doesn't always work out. So if you, like many students do find themselves in the position like, oh, I do have a test next week, what do I do? And for me, the best thing is to always get friends, like your classmates, and to sit 10 hours a day in a cafe. They don't care, just get one coffee and sit there and make yourself study. And especially for subjects like anatomy, and towards the end of the year when you start doing neuroanatomy, which is complicated, it's you need to understand it, and it's never going to stick in your brain if you just read. It's really discussing with people is what helps.
So you are more like a lonely wolf, kind of studying by yourself, or do you have also...
This is like a very good point, and I also do that. I used to go to upper ears who did it last year and discuss it. And also I sometimes studied with friends, like neuroanatomy. You can't just do it alone, reading by yourself. You have to try to explain or talk about it. So this is really important point, I think, that you should find people that you can study with.
I think that's a really good point, because I feel like in the first year you're so overwhelmed with all of the amount of information. You feel like you have to be all the time studying, and you can't go out, you can't do anything. So it could have been a smart idea to like really gather all your friends and go somewhere into a cafe and just go through it together, because it's also making more sense than doing it at home. So that's actually a good point. So how did you... Now, bits outside of the actual academia, how did you like balance your free time? Did you have some like specific ways you're dealing with the stress, something that like made it a bit more tolerable? Petra can
honestly, it took a while. It took 2 months of feel guilty every time I wouldn't study, feeling like, oh, I'm not doing enough, and especially comparing yourself to others. And once you get past that initial, oh my God, what is going on? And you start figuring out that everyone else is thinking the exact same things. So with that, I was able to find people who have similar hobbies. Like, for example, we do go climbing, physical exercise, any sort of physical exercise is perfect. Even going on, like sometimes I just go on walks with my friends, which is like throughout town. Prague is beautiful. But yeah, I used to be a very creative person before I came here, and I tried keeping it up. But realistically, you will not have time for every single hobby that you had before you came here. So I did kind of give priority to the ones that allowed me to spend time with my friends as well.
Great. Okay. And
I was very lost during the first semester, because I was also very guilty when I wasn't doing about studying, and I didn't know what to do, because I'm from a very far country with very different culture. I don't know here. So it took a very long time for me to find my own ways to do the other stuff than studying. So I found it this semester. I sometimes play video games, and also, like she said, physical activity is really important. There, as far as I know, there are very many studies that physical activity definitely helps your brain function. So I agree on that. So I also sometimes go to play soccer if it helps.
That's great. So I would say that the physical activity is clearly like a
very
big
important.
point.
Yeah.
But I think like you were saying that you like to be creative. Maybe later on you can somehow like combine it together, because also the creativity is really important for the future, even as a doctor. So I think that's good that you have also balance between not only each TV telling you that you have to go run and like it's good for your brain and good for your health, surely, but there's other things that you can do. So that's amazing. Was it like, you kind of already touched on it, that the first semester you felt like you didn't have so much, like you felt guilty that you didn't want to like go anywhere. So you would say, was it hard, like in the sense that the guilt, was it like making you feel worse that you were going somewhere, or is it you kind of said it already, but
for me
it was a big part.
So I used to not go somewhere very often, like almost not at all during the first semester. So for me it was like that. How about you?
I feel like for most people it's like that. But once you do kind of cross that shyness, cross that line, and there are always going to be some events. Like every month I feel like there was an event for the international parallel, and if you do decide to show up, there's always going to be upper years, there's going to be your classmates, there's going to be people who want to make you feel welcome, and it will make you feel like that guilt is worth it, and you will start to balance it out and learn that it's completely fine.
This international school event day that we have once a month, I went this. Those were only thing that I went, and I can say that it worth visiting. So
you think it's actually nice to hear that these like extracurricular kind of activities are so important. So it's great. So you would say that we should keep up with doing that, definitely. Okay, that's great. So this is going to be more for Petra, because you're still in the first year, so you can't really reflect back. But reflecting back to your first year, is there anything that you would change? Like, yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Tell us. Get into more detail with that.
I would honestly take example from Bin and really do try to study early, because I myself get really overwhelmed when I read a page and I have no idea what's going on. That makes me feel like I don't know anything, and it makes me feel dumb, and I put the book away and I decide not to do it. It took me a while to overcome that, and I think like everyone needs to learn how to overcome that themselves. But yes, always start soon. It really does help. Okay. I know it's a cliche, but
so that's kind of like the advice for the future students, I see. I mean, you kind of are at the end of the first year, so you can also tell us if you learned something from the beginning of the first semester till now.
We already mentioned about it. So find as soon as possible how you can live in this city. So once you live, you will survive the first year. So find the hobbies and find what fits into your habit, like study methods and all like that. So just keep calm and try to find your ways as possible.
So you have more like the studying methods for you are kind of, your methods?
Like I already knew, because I'm quite old. I'm 23. So
well, you're not old.
What I mean is I wasn't a fresher who's 18, 19. I've been already into university in Korea.
Okay.
I had a little bit more experience in studying, so I knew myself, and I think that really helped. And I think that was kind of difference between me and other first year maybe. Yeah. When they were struggling a bit more, I was also struggling, but a bit less struggling, because I knew myself. I knew how to control myself. I knew how to talk to me that I'm not good or I'm not okay in a perspective that is not forced, So
you would say that if you compare yourself to your colleagues in the first year, you're feeling that that you have a bit of a privilege in this, not privilege, but a bit less. That you know yourself more.
Yeah, and that's very important.
That makes you, okay, that's good. Anything from the faculty side that really like came, I mean, you mentioned the events yourself that you felt like that's really important. Anything like more academic that really helped you during the first year? I don't know how it is nowadays. Do you have some tutoring? Do you have some kind of like help from the faculty side?
From faculties, do you have anything?
I would say that especially this year, the anatomy department especially is trying to be more connected with their students, because from what I've heard that in the past it was students, teachers separated. And now, especially because they do have student lectures, they try to use that as communication with the students, because if your teacher is someone who's maybe a year older than you, it's more easy to trust them and to talk to them about your struggles. And I believe that this year they actually did like extra classes for like people struggling with some of the anatomy tests going on. And I feel like that's the best thing about our faculty, is that they don't take a lot of students every year, which makes the student to teacher ratio really small. So it's really good that everyone knows everyone. And if you're struggling, the teachers will always help.
That's good. That's actually something that we didn't mention, that maybe that's not very typical in the world, that you have like students teaching students. But isn't it so that in both anatomy and histology, you have tutors from upper year students, right?
Yeah, like demonstrators maybe.
Demonstrators, yeah.
But in anatomy, they actually teach.
Actually teach. You. Okay. And you feel like it's actually sometimes nicer that you have like more like younger, close with you kind of people, or you would have appreciated to have more like a professor teaching you all the time? Do you feel like, I mean, you said, Petra, that you enjoyed it, that you had someone that's like easy to connect with. But then what do you think? Like,
it was one of the best things that I had in this university, that student lecturers teach us. Okay. Because they did it 1 year ago. So they know how it feels like, and they know how it has to be for us. Like professors, sometimes they're really good, but sometimes students feels like they are more helpful to us. Yeah. So I like that part, that they teach us.
That's great.
They're all nice here.
Yeah. So maybe to summarize, any advice for the future freshers? What would you tell them? You know, they're fresh, they're full of energy, starting. What would you say to them as now almost finished first year and second year?
Honestly, my biggest advice is don't be scared to really show who you are and get to know people. The best thing that will get you through first year is friends, is your colleagues, is your classmates. And a lot of people underestimate this, I feel like. And you are all in the same place. You are all moving to a new country. You are all starting anew. You are all scared. And I feel like that can even lead to lifelong friendships, you know?
So it's 6 years. Like now, today actually was my last day. So it's just funny how fast the time actually then flows. So really, like, I really like this, that you don't go so much into the future. You're really enjoying the moment, because it easily goes into an exam. I just have to pass. Really enjoy it, because then it's in a second, it's gone. So I think this is a really, really good point. What about you, Ben? Anything you would tell?
I want to mention one thing about academic stuff, about AHE. This is not only from me. We talked about this perspective before, like between few first year students, that we're gonna start with AHE with bone and joint and muscle. So when we start with bone, we're gonna have a bit more time than usual during the semester going on. So
you started before the course started, or what do you mean?
When you start it, just don't only start bone.
I
just
see.
start
So you
joint and muscle together. Because I think, I don't know if she agrees, because bone is very closely related to joint and muscle. Obviously. So it doesn't harm to you that you studied.
That's smart.
The balance together. And once you pass bone, joint, muscle test successfully, then that's really good start. So the only advice that I want to do to future first year is, when you starting bone, study hard, and also study joint and muscle, so that future you could be more in stable state.
Yes, exactly. I'm more like Petra, in the sense that I'm like not procrastinating. I'm studying, but I'm studying poorly in the beginning. So it's like then kind of slowly you get into a panic, and then you somehow manage. So you would say that the first year is passable.
Yes.
Yes.
And if I could just add on what Ben said, is that the first 3 tests of anatomy are musculoskeletal system, which is like the basics of the human body. And what students really struggle with is that those are words that we have never ever heard before. They are terms like scientific names, the Latin names that are really hard to memorize. And honestly, the first month of med school is going to be memorization, which is scary to people because it seems boring. But once you do get past that and you start linking it like with bones and muscles, for example,
you can
that's
link
why
it.
it's so like that's what makes it interesting.
As a foundation, it works as an important role.
So even though we have so many subjects, probably 12 or more, more, it is still doable, and the freshers should be kind of going into it like it is not easy, but it is doable, right? Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I hope everything goes well with your exams. You both have still exams, right? Okay, that's good. And thank you all for joining us today, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.